back in the late 70s, when I was a science fiction fanatic, I was lapping up every bit of science fiction I could watch on TV, everything approaching a science fiction strip in the British comics, and buying up every science fiction paperback that I could buy. The Stainless Steel Rat by Harry Harrison was up there at that time. The two authors that I was reading and the two characters that I was reading in the late 70s, The Stainless Steel Rat by Harry Harrison and Conan by Robert E. Howard. And I cannot tell you how entrenched I was in Slippery Jim's universe. I adored these books, and I read them over and over and over and over again. And I still read them quite regularly now, and other Harry Harrison books. If you've never read a Harry Harrison book, I really do recommend you track them down and get them. They're fantastic science fiction romps, tons of adventure, and tons of humour. He's such a great writer, Harry Harrison. He should be appreciated and acknowledged more, in my opinion. So these are my novels, and as you can see, they are rather beat up. And I think these are the only ones I've got. I think there was further ones, but these are the ones I've got. This is the original, and look at that beautiful artwork. I mean, that sells it, doesn't it? You can gauge how old they are by the price. This one, the very first one, was 85p, and this is from 1978. This one, though, The Stainless Steel Rat Saves the World, is only 50p. Don't understand what's going on there. Let's have a look. 1976. That's interesting. So this one came out in 76, but the first one came out in 78. So I guess this was the first UK printing, was it? If you know any different, if you're a Stainless Steel fan, let me know in the comments section. All right. So yeah, so we've got the Stainless Steel Stainless Steel Rat Saves the World, Stainless Steel Rat's Revenge. It's gone up in price. Yeah, 95p. Stainless Steel Rat for President, £1.25, and the Stainless Steel Rat Gets Drafted, £2.99. Blimey, I can remember when you didn't want to spend more than £1 on a paperback. Anyway, so they were essential reading and rereading, and I was overjoyed when in 2000 AD they did a comic strip adaptation, which I've got, but I can't find to actually show you. And he's not quite James Coburn in my mind, but that's who Carlos Esquerra was channeling when he was drawing Slippery Jim and Angelina. I'm not saying he drew Angelina like James Coburn, quite far from it. So yeah, and that was fabulous. So there we are. That's how it has been up until now. I've got my paperbacks. I've got my 2000 AD adaptations until now, because now the very talented Gary Cass over on Etsy, who has a channel or a page, a shop called Dominion 3D, he's been producing an awful lot of very interesting, sometimes obscure, but still interesting characters that he 3D prints and sells. If you have been following, excuse me just for a second, if you've been following my channel for a while, you may have seen me taking on his mammoth Mechquake kit, which was my first one from Gary. And as I say, that was a big one. And I've recently done the dragon from the Space 1999 story, Dragon's Domain. Made a little diorama, you may have seen that. But yeah, he has also produced a number of busts to do with 2000 AD characters, and he's done Slippery Jim. And I haven't made a bust for quite a while, and I wanted a new modelling challenge, and Gary doesn't disappoint. It was either down to this or his Blitzspear from Nemesis the Warlock but I fancied a bust over a spaceship because I've been making an awful lot of spaceships just lately. So let's see what we've got. All right, we've got a lot of styrofoam, and let's have a look. Wow, this is considerably bigger than I thought it was going to be. Let's build up to the fella, shall we? So you already know what this looks like because you will have seen the image at the beginning. Yeah, he's been true to old Carlos. His weaponry had a touch of the old Urs about it. Everything was decidedly phallic. That gives you an idea of the size because there's one of his hands. There's the other hand. That one's not so dodgy. And let's have a dramatic... Oh, there's other bits. Of course, we've got his arms. If we've got his hands, we've got his arms. There's a bit of that 3D ribbon affair going on, but I think, yeah, look, I think I'm going to let this pass this time because it's futuristic clothing, isn't it? You know? So, yeah. All right, let's build up to the fella. Oh, he's light. He's very light. Those other pieces are solid, but he's light. So let's have a look. There's the back. Let's build on up, build on up. Yeah, that's James Coburn, all right. Cool. Very nice. Very light. Blimey, that is light. That's bigger. What's that? 1/4? I think that's 1/4 scale. All right. I think, yeah, there we go. He's always smoking a cigar. So, yeah, we've also got his little cigar to stick in there. All right. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's nothing. So, as is customary, everything gets a very good wash. I'm guessing this all glues together with super glue. And no, there's nothing in the way of, well, there's a little bit down in the cheeks, in the folds of the cheeks, but there doesn't look to be any of the, you know, the usual striations you get with 3D kits, and the hair's all right. It's just on the body, but this can be like, you know, Man of Steel style webbing details, and who knows, maybe it is, or maybe it is part of the process. I don't know. But anyway, looking forward to this, so let's give it all a big wash and come on back. Well, there's a bit more work cut out for me than I initially thought. There's a bit of cleaning up to do around his chin. I've got to sort this out. All right, there's like misprints all along the bottom there, which I've got to sort out. Everything else is fine. Like I say, this I don't know whether this is actually meant to be there or is this part of the printing process. I think in this case, I think that is definitely part of the printing process, isn't it? All those lines. But I don't keep that on because, you know, this is a science fiction outfit. All right. So the two arms are all right. I can live with that. The problem I've got is on the hands. There's quite a bit of that, you know, the lines and stuff. And this is going to be his hands. It's not going to be gloves. Or if I can't get rid of them, they're going to have to be gloves. And there's all sorts of like spurs and stuff, which there you go. That's a good view of it all. And look, there's all this muck, which I've got to get rid of. I know this stuff can feel very light, but it can be very tough. So yeah, and look, there's an awful lot of cleaning up to do here on the edges. Yeah, look at that. That one's the worst. This one's better, although it's got a bit, you know, it's got that up there. And that hand's better, but it's still got some lines. I think I'm going to be digging out the filler primer. All right. And I can't find his cigar. I don't know where it's gone. So I'm going to have to make another one. All right, I'll come back. I don't know if I will have finished cleaning it up or halfway through the process. Oh, and I forgot to say, I have got one more stainless steel wrap book. I've only just unearthed that. And I've looked into it. Yeah, of course, there are more stainless steel wrap books. I might get them. I might not. We'll see. We'll see. I like the ones that I've got, but towards the end, you know, I was losing interest with them. I much prefer the first 2 or 3, so I might stay with that. But anyway, I'll be back. I'll tell you, this stuff is very, very light, but boy, is it tough. Trying to get all the muck out between his fingers has been really tricky to cut through it and prise it out, all right? Even with a brand new blade in my scalpel. But I've got the worst of it out and off, but it's very, very hard to see just what I'm doing with this black plastic, black shiny plastic. So next step is give everything a coat of Halford's filler primer, which is a nice mustard yellow. That will show me what I'm dealing with, and hopefully in the process it might fill in a few of the grid work that's inherent in these prints. All right, so the filler primer has done its job. It's filled in a lot of the little blemishes and some of the pattern work, but I'm going to be keeping that there. All right, it's showing up a defect there that I wasn't really aware of before. I knew about this little slot thing, which I've got to deal with, but you've got a grid going across there, but I might leave that once I've tidied it up. That might look all right. There's a whole lot of unfinished stuff going on down in there that I've got to get rid of. Not too keen on doing that. As I say, this is really, it's lightweight stuff, but boy, it's tough. It's not easy. It's not like an old resin or plastic where you can just slice through it with a scalpel. Not easy at all. So that's the main torso. The arms are okay. There's that pattern in there, but that's going to become part of his suit. And I don't know whether it's intentional or not, because look, you've got it here, but you've not got it on the armbands. So that's all right. I can move on with the armbands. Yeah, the hands, I knew they were a problem. It's showing up little bits here and there that need dealing with. The filler has filled in quite a bit. There's some still on the skin, but I think a second coat will get rid of that. The problem I've got is where I've been carving away. You can still see I've got some way to go there. And if, as I say, if this was a regular plastic, that would be all right. But look, you've got an awful lot of that horrible stuff going on there, and that's not acceptable. I couldn't even say he's wearing gloves and pass that off. You've got it to some degree on here. I think with the guns, what I'm going to do is, it's not so much on this one, although I've got it a bit up there, but where you've got, oh yeah, no, I've got to deal with that. I hadn't really noticed that. Yeah. I think I'm going to cover this up with plasticard in some places after I've tried removing it. Cover up some areas with plasticard and add extra kit pieces, although the designs of these guns are totally in keeping with what old Carlos was doing. So that's great. And yeah, the other hand, that's almost gone on the hand, on the skin. But you've got an awful lot of this stuff going on. This is going to take a lot longer than I thought it would do for cleanup. This is the thing. I mean, you know, 3D printing has allowed there to be modelling projects that you would never have got before, but there's a cost to it, and it's the process of 3D printing has a side effect. I've got to clean these up. And here, look at that finger. Look at that finger. I've been hacking away since I've painted that. It's black in there because since I've primed it, I've had another go at removing it. I might have to put a strip of plastic down there to repair it, but they are really, really bad. That, I think, everything here will go with another coat of filler primer. But yeah, worst culprits is the back of those fingers and the back of his thumb. Look at that. I'm going to be putting filler in there rather than trust it to filler primer. That's not going to be enough. I need to put some sort of filler on it and sand it down and then put another coat of filler primer on. Okay. yeah, yeah, it's a shame, but hopefully it's all going to be worth it. Looking decidedly ill here. I've had to do more than I thought I would. This is liquid green stuff by Games Workshop, which I've slopped on and will be slowly, very, very slowly sanding smooth. All right. So, and I've done that on the bad hand areas, right? But what I hadn't really noticed until I started studying was there's a whole line of lattice work going on in his skin, and I really don't want that. And it was still evident even after putting on this first coat of filler primer. So what I've done is I've painted the liquid green stuff on, which seems to have done the trick. I'll know for sure when I put another coat of filler primer over the top. If it covers up detail, it covers up detail. I can't sand in and get rid of all the line work off of a face. It's one thing to do it on a spacecraft or a tank or any sort of vehicle. It's a different thing to be doing it on, you know, a curvy face. All right, so let's give it another coat of filler primer and see what it looks like then. Okay, this is a little bit further on. Couple more coats of filler primer and a coat of grey primer. I can still kind of see grain in there in the skin slightly. I don't know how apparent that's going to be when I start painting the skin, but I'm kind of resigned to it that there's going to be some. Might have to be a figure that's viewed from a distance, because I can't sand this down. I've used the filler primer before, unlike my Logan's Run blaster, and that was great. I would put on filler primer, rub it down, put on filler primer, rub it down, and just keep going and going until the grain all went away. Can't do that on a figure kit. So let's see what he looks like. Next step is to put on a coat of Wraithbone, which is a nice warm colour as a start for the flesh tones. And the other thing is I sculpted out a milliput, a replacement cigar for him. All right, so next step, Wraithbone, and let's see what he looks like. So there we are. That's his flesh tones on. I won't know whether I've got to go pinker until I've put, you know, blocked in his eyes, blocked in his mouth, blocked in his hair. And that raises the question of what colour do I do him, and that's what I'll be addressing in the next part. So we've got to talk colour choices. The stainless steel rat, of course, is a literary character, but he was represented in comic book form, as I say, by Carlos Esquerra back in the 70s, and you know. Carlos Esquerra is one of the 70s, 80s comic book artists, for me, at least this side of the pond. And he had with a name like Carlos Esquerra, yeah, it's not a surprise he's got a European style to his art, which is just fabulous. But when he did the stainless steel rat, it was all black and white. Okay, fabulous costumes, but no talk of the colour of them. And yeah, so the big question I've got is, what shall I do for colours? Because I want to keep it in the style of good old Carlos. I want to keep it in the style of the 70s. He's a 70s creation in book form. And I want to go for 70s colours, and this is one I was considering, a red and orange affair, all right? But I started thinking about one of Carlos's best known comic book creations, and that's Johnny Alpha, the Strontium dog, and I liked his green-yellow combination for his outfits. But as I say, when it was in 2000 AD, it was black and white, but the first couple of stories, they are do have the colour centre spread So you see that Carlos has done a variety of colours. Not too keen on that one. And flicking through the centre spreads, the one I've chosen to go for, or be inspired by as well, is this one, which again has the Johnny Alpha green yellow, but got some red and some silver or white going on. All right. And so I was considering that, and I've taken, you know, inspiration from both. The other thing, and the thing that I'm not going to do, is give my Slippery Jim white hair. I don't know why Carlos decided to have him white haired, other than it makes him distinctive, but I'm not going to do that. He's going to have brown hair. All right. So with that out of the way, the progress shot and what I've been up to is almost done on the skins, although you can't really see that right now. I've blocked in the brown around his hairline and eyebrows just to give me a gauge of how we're going. Blocked in his teeth. All right. And this is the first part of the colour. This gives you an idea of where we're going. So this is Games Workshop's Moot Green. I want a proper 70s vibe to this guy. I don't want him to look like he's, you know, from Blade Runner or Alien. You know, his world is not a dystopian world. His world is it's got lots of crime in it. He's a criminal, but you know, it's a fun universe, and I want that to come across in the colour scheme. So we're going to have this quite a garish green for a lot of his tunic. His under tunic I have blocked in silver, and there's a reason for that. The reason will be coming up next. All right, so that's his eyes picked out. I'm giving him blue eyes. I just got to gloss them. I've done his teeth, but there's a barest hint of a gap between the teeth, so I'm filling them in with ivory. So here we go. This is a contrast paint over the silver, which gives us this nice, almost DC superhero texture, metallic-y sheen. Could be very Man of Steel, that. And these two chest pieces of his jacket I picked out in silver as well, because I'm going to do these in a contrast as well to get the metallic sheen, but this time a dark green. And then his belt, he's got the same thing either side of this strange thing. So here I've just picked these out in a yellow green, and I'm going to keep these two, whatever they are, quite subdued. But these two, and they're matching ones on that side, I'm going to do in some Games Workshop, or Citadel paints, metallic paints. I've still got a purple and I've still got a green, so I think I'm going to do that. I've got to think colour again for his weaponry. I didn't want them just, you know, bog standard metallic. I still want to keep with the futuristic feel of it, and Carlos went for like blues and greys. All right, and at the moment I'm doing some aliens miniatures, including an alien queen, and that's got a bluey grey, so I think I'm going to at least start with that colour and see how I get on. All right, so there we are. That's a nice dark green. That's the kind of thing I wanted it to look like. It's almost crocodile skin, or it looks like. I haven't done the belt bits yet. This bit I'm going to have is in gold or copper, so I've got to base coat that in a brown. Always a good base coat for golds and stuff. Finish blocking in the regular green, do the belt thing, nearly done. Yeah, the gun, as I say, at the moment I'm doing the Queen Alien. All right, and that's that colour, and I've started blocking it in. It takes a couple of coats, so it's going to be a while before I can come back with that. Well, moving right along now, this moot green, which is the main part of his jacket, I've washed on the back with Beltane green, which is good. That takes it down. You can see the difference between the two there. That reduces it back a bit. did I say I've changed my mind on the colours there? They're going to be like a goldy, brassy colour. Orange for there. I'm going to put red bands on there. The green on either side is this pot of Citadel metallic that I've had literally since the 1980s, and it's about a third still in there, and it's still viable. It doesn't go off, unlike their modern paints. The one next to it that is still white, I've still got about half a pot of their metallic purple, so I figure I'm going to use that. Oh, and the guns, I've put in a second coat of this nice bluey grey on, and I've left some bits white because I'm going to put another colour on that. Not sure which yet, but I'm suspecting purple. I'm not far off putting things together now. He's out of focus, but the eyes and the mouth area I've painted and glossed. Picked out that thing. I just got to dry brush that a bit. Put a wash over the main parts of his jacket. As you can see, it's pulled in places, so I've got to dry brush that. I've got to address this. I've been holding off on this. I've got to find something in my bits box, a small little thing which will be a buckle, because I see this as some sort of strap that's going to be a darker colour. So I need some sort of like little greebly to stick on that and be like a buckle. Yeah, muted down the belt accessories. The light is making this very garish, but it's not as garish as that. But I've got to wash this orange red belt buckle that I've done, and then finally it'll be doing the shoulder pads, and then we're ready for assembly. Gun is done. Just got to pick out the hand grip. Oh yeah, I'm going to be painting, even though you're never going to really see it, I'm going to paint this like a fluorescent green, so it's like a sighting device, and I've got to just wash in there. That's the only real proper metallics there's going to be, is inside the gun barrels. So not far off now. Yeah, I think when I next come back, he is actually going to be, if not totally assembled, partly assembled, and then we can just see how everything is working. Almost ready to put it together now. I've done that little buckle thing, little kit piece for the buckle. Picked out his shoulder pads in yellow. Just got to wash them, and I can start putting his arms on. And also the gun. I've been dry brushing some metal on it to just beat them up a bit. All right. So yeah, I'm going to come back once we're all finished. And we're done. This has been really good fun project. To begin with, it gave me a good reason, although I don't need one, to go back and reread the books. And it's been a real fun challenge to come up with colour schemes that I felt suited the character. Yeah, as you've seen, there's been some changes along the way, especially with the belt. I'm glad I went back to a more subdued one, and I'm rather pleased with how the guns have come out. And you know, they're not unearthly colours, but hopefully they still look like they're menacing enough weapons. So there we go. Very, very happy with the chap, and yeah, he's going to be guarding my my Harry Harrison collection from now on.